For thousands of years, the Indian subcontinent has been this incredible hotbed of intellectual exploration. And we're not just talking about history here. We're talking about a deep, continuous tradition of trying to understand the universe itself and, our place in it. So let's dive right into this fascinating world.
Right at the heart of all this is what we call the Indian Knowledge System, or IKS. Now, this isn't just one subject. Think of it more like a giant, holistic framework where science, philosophy, and spirituality are all woven together. The whole thing is built on these foundational texts like the Vedas and the Upanishads, which have been shaping minds for literally centuries. So in this explainer, we're going to get to know some of the absolute masterminds behind this system. These are the architects of ancient Indian thought, the brilliant minds whose ideas became the foundation for complex legal systems, theories of matter, and even mathematical concepts that our modern world absolutely relies on today.
All right, let's start with the great organizers. These were the thinkers who looked at these huge, sprawling bodies of knowledge and gave them structure, making sure they could be passed down through generations.
And first up, we have to talk about a true giant of Indian literature, Maharishi Vyasa. Honestly, his name is basically synonymous with preserving and organizing ancient wisdom. He wasn't just a writer, he was like an editor, a compiler, and a librarian all rolled into one, and on an absolutely epic scale. I mean, the sheer scope of what he did is just staggering. Vyasa is the one credited with taking the single massive Veda and organizing it into the 4 distinct parts we know today. He's also the celebrated author of the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and the Brahma Sutras, a super important text in Vedanta philosophy. He was pretty much a one-man library of ancient knowledge. And just to give you some perspective on his work, the Mahabharata alone has over 100,000 verses. That makes it one of the longest epic poems ever written in the history of the world. And right there inside it, you'll find the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most profound and beloved philosophical texts ever. Next up in this group of systematizers is Manu, known as the ancient lawgiver. His major work, the Manusmriti, was unbelievably influential. It was basically a blueprint for creating a stable, ordered society. It laid out this whole comprehensive code for everything: legal duties, ethical behavior, how to govern, family life. You name it, it was in there. Okay, so from organizing knowledge, let's shift gears to our next group, the philosophers. Now, these thinkers weren't just organizing what was known. They were digging deeper, trying to deconstruct the very nature of reality itself. And here we meet Kanad, a thinker who was, and I mean this, truly revolutionary. We're talking centuries before John Dalton over in the West. Kanad was proposing a theory of atoms. He actually founded the Vyasa school of philosophy, which took a really scientific and logical approach to understanding the physical world.
So Kanad's big idea was that everything is made of these tiny, indivisible particles he called Anu. But he didn't stop there. He then created this whole system for classifying reality into 6 fundamental categories, or padarthas. It was a framework for understanding everything from a physical object to an abstract quality or even an action. It's this brilliant, structured way of analyzing existence.
So we go from the atomic to the abstract, and that brings us to the great Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna. This guy's ideas completely flipped Buddhist philosophy on its head. He founded what's known as the Madhyamaka, or middle way, school of thought.
The key to his whole philosophy is this concept called shunyata, which translates to emptiness. Now, what Nagarjuna argued was that nothing has a fixed, independent existence all by itself. Think of it this way. A wave can't exist without the ocean, right? Well, he proposed that everything is like that. Things only exist because of their relationship to other things. It's a really profound idea about how interconnected everything is. All right, so from deconstructing reality, let's turn to the thinkers who were busy constructing these brilliant systems for understanding the world through numbers and through language. So get ready for this. Meet Pingala, an ancient scholar whose work on poetic meters, called the Chanda Shastra, held a mind-blowing secret. By analyzing the mathematical patterns of short and long syllables in poetry, he developed a system using 2 values that is pretty much identical to the binary number system. You know, the code that is the fundamental language of all modern computers. It's incredible. And right alongside the master of numbers, we have a master of words, Panini. He was an ancient linguist whose analysis of the Sanskrit language was so thorough, so systematic, that it's still considered a high point of scientific thought. His masterpiece,
The Ashtadhyayi has around 4,000 super precise grammatical rules, and this thing works like a machine. It can generate and analyze any correct Sanskrit sentence. Its logical structure is so perfect that people have compared it to a modern computer program.
Okay, for our final group, let's look at the great storytellers and versatile sages, the ones who wove wisdom into amazing narratives and somehow managed to influence multiple fields of knowledge all at once.
First, there's Bhanbhatta, a 7th century writer who was just a master of Sanskrit prose. His works, like Kadambari, are actually considered some of the world's very first novels. They're famous for their really complex plots and super rich, descriptive style.
And then you have someone like Parashar, a sage whose expertise was just astonishingly broad. I mean, this guy is credited with texts on law, like the Parashar Smriti, on literature, like the Vishnu Purana, and on science, with major works in astrology. He was a true master of multiple disciplines in the ancient world.
So when you step back and look at it all, whether it's compiling epic poems, theorizing about atoms, engineering an entire language, or even stumbling upon the principles of binary code, these architects of thought built this incredible intellectual legacy. It's a legacy that's as diverse as it is deep, and it still inspires us today.
And all this really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? When you look at their systematic, holistic, and often startlingly modern ways of thinking, what timeless wisdom from these ancient minds is just sitting there, waiting for us to rediscover it, to help us navigate the challenges of our own complex time?